Hello, my name is Mike Gibson and I live in Tokyo, Japan. I recently shared a story on a Facebook group I am in, and it was started by a Bahai friend of mine to better organize events and meetings for local Baha'is. I was requested by a reader. Some of you may know her. Her name's Beta. I think I pronounced that correctly. She asked me to share it with you. Before I do so, I would like to give you some background info on myself and my situation that I feel would make the following story even more valuable to all of us. I went to Texas A&M and was a member of the Corps of Cadets, a military ROTC group. As much as I love the Corps and the people in it, I really didn't fit in. I hate to be stereotypical, but a lot of them were not as spiritually driven as I was, or at least never shared it with anyone. A series of friendships strung across multiple degrees of separation, and it led me to the Bahai and Friends group at Texas A&M, which was started by three lovely people you may know, Taraz, Natalie, and Christine. A million thank yous to you three for what you've given me and the Aggie community with your Bahai group. This organization taught me about the Bahai faith, one which I have never heard of beforehand. I loved it for one main reason, which is best displayed in their title: Bahai and Friends. They welcomed anyone with any ideas, not in their ulterior motive, let me feel like I did a good deed by making you think the same way I do way of welcoming, but a genuine excitement in the challenge of diversity. Christians, atheists, agnostics, Muslims, and more would sit around a small room and discuss some not-so-comfortable topics, which I loved. This is not to make it sound as though the club was large, because it was quite small compared to what I imagined a religious group would normally be. But this made it all the more personal. You had no choice but to listen to those who disagreed with you. There was no specific assigned speaker to prevent awkward pauses. The topics were birthed from the teachings of Abdu'l-Baha and Baha'u'llah, I think I pronounced this correctly, and were free to venture into any tangential topic that weighed on our hearts and minds. This, to many, may sound stressful or uncomfortable, but on the contrary, the atmosphere was light, loving, fun, and friendly. There wasn't a single person there that didn't love the minds of the people to the left and right of them. This love and friendship in this room caused the Bahai faith to have a special place in my heart. Now, I'm not Bahai. In fact, I'm not religious at all. I've recently identified myself as an agnostic atheist, one who does not believe in a god, but does not deny the possibility of one. To be honest, I don't like religion at all, except for the Bahai faith, and here's why. I have three main points. Number one, you don't have one book, you have all books. In order for a member to understand the teachings of Abdu'l-Baha and Baha'u'llah, they must also understand the teachings of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Krishna, and Abraham. This is not easy, and I commend each one of you for taking on the task of learning, if not only the basics of each major religion, but, for the most part, each major religion as a whole. This gives you no other choice but to be theologically educated. You know that there are other options out there, and you know what they are. I don't believe in the Bahai faith, but I sure as heck respect it for this reason. Number two, kind of extrapolated off of the first one, because you know all of your religious options. It is a learned faith. You understand the importance of letting one question, learn, and decide for themselves. You seem to have a much more open mind to the fact that your children may disagree with your Bahai faith, and you will respect their minds' freedom to do so. Most religious parents indoctrinate their peers and children through propaganda and habit. But because of how much you value education, the sciences, and free thought, those of you who believe Bahai faith seem to have come to this on your own, not because someone taught you about it, but because you asked about it. And that is so much more beautiful than just following in your parents' footsteps. And the third and final reason, Bahai can adapt. The Bahai people can adapt, the Bahai religion can adapt. Times are changing. The persecution of free thinkers in the Middle East is becoming much more public thanks to technology, and I do know a lot about it thanks to Taraz and a lot of other Bahai people who have shared this with me. I've become very interested in it and have done a lot of research. The freedom of Americans, as well, is being challenged by the religious conservative political leaders. Our, and by our I mean humanity's right to be different, is being challenged by our governments and ancient religious moral traditions. but Baha'i has shown me that it can take the teachings of Buddha and adapt. I have always believed that religion should be comprised of spirituality and education. I consider spirituality a relationship with a higher power, and a relationship, whether with another human or a higher power, is a living and growing thing. It has stages just like adolescence, teenagerhood, and adulthood. A religion needs to be flexible and adaptable to the growing and changing of society, and the Baha'i Faith has shown me that it has done so very well over the last 200 years. Enough gushing. The point is that I, an atheist and even an anti-theist, loves the Baha'i Faith and every Baha'i follower I have met to this day. And it is thanks to the open-mindedness and love I have witnessed in your people that, in the wake of my discouraging of Christianity, Islam, and so on as the sole truths to spirituality, I am encouraging the Baha'i mentality of believing and supporting them equally. So much more love and peace will come to the world if we were able to unite our minds' differences, just as the Baha'i Faith has done so with religious differences. I appreciate everyone still following me on this. I know I'm kind of on a soapbox here, but now I want to get to the point where the love that you have shown me will hopefully be reciprocated back to all of you. Like I mentioned earlier, I live in Tokyo, Japan, on an Air Force base. I went to the chapel because it's my only place within a 10-mile radius that ever keeps a tuned piano unlocked. So I played the piano for about 40 minutes and began to walk out. As I walked out, I noticed that there wasn't much diversity in the services being provided to my fellow airmen. The choices ranged from Methodist to Catholic. Christian, 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 Christian. I work in the command post, which means I hear every late-night phone call to a chaplain from suicidal or depressed airmen. I report every spousal or child abuse case up the chain. I know of every problem that goes through my Air Force's heads. So far, things have been smoothly handled because most of the problems have been with Christians, and they seem to find their support within their faith. But one day, and soon I'm sure, a young Muslim American soldier is going to feel outcasted. I, for one, don't feel comfortable going to my chaplain about my parents' divorce or any other personal problems that I have, depression, anything. Because all too often, I'm sure I'm going to hear the phrase that I just need to give it up to God. And that is not how you help someone with different beliefs in you. Well, since there weren't any other options advertised for believers of non-Christian faiths, I decided to talk to someone about it. I was asked which religious service I wished was provided, and I replied with Baha'i. I figured if I could only choose one to answer his question with, why not choose all of them? And why not choose this as an opportunity to keep a balanced level of support for all religious airmen? This was very recent, and I am unable to give you an update on any changes that may have happened. But I promise all of you I will follow through, and because of the love that Baha'i Faith has shown me and others, I will do my best to make sure that those teachings get out there, to provide a fair and open-minded ability to research any and all religious texts. Today, literally about an hour before I started recording this video, I went book shopping at our BX. The book selection in the religious section was nothing but Bibles, and again, I plan to do something about that. Our minds need options, and it is a shame that as of now we don't have any others than Christianity. Thank you for patiently listening to my story, and I hope that if you get anything out of what I've shared with you, it's this. The love and support that you Baha'i followers have shown for me and another person's freedom to disagree with you will reward you and have rewarded you 1,000,000 times more than persuading someone to agree with you. Thank you to all of you people with the Baha'i Faith.